art as a way to express the beautiful and aesthetic parts of life. However, what happens when life isn't all rainbows and sunshine? Well, that's when artists such as Wissam Nassar come in and try to bring to light the underrepresented issues of the world. Nassar had fostered his talents and used them in order to bring awareness the Palestinian cause. My name is Ibtesam, and in today's speech, I will be discussing Wissam Nassar and his inspiration for becoming a photojournalist, some of his experiences as a photojournalist, as well as explaining some of his photos. Let's begin with his inspiration to become a photojournalist. As stated by Times, he is a refugee. He was born and raised in Palestine during a time of war. He was constantly exposed to violence and was one of 8 children in a working class family. So making ends meet during the wartime was a bit difficult. However, his father was still able to pull together enough money to buy his son his first camera. With the means to take photos, Wissam was unstoppable. He attended the Islamic University at Gaza and was able to earn his Bachelor of the Arts degree. He was able to major in online journalism because photojournalism was not offered. This allows him to now post articles along with his photos. In order to continue on to develop his photojournalism career, he trained with international photo agencies in 2003. Nassar recognized how very few people witnessed or endured the same conflicts that Palestinians did. He wanted to raise awareness for the Palestinian cause, but also show how resilient and strong the Palestinian people are. Now let's continue with some of his experiences as a photojournalist. Bird in Flight recognizes that his most impactful photos were taken during active wartime, which was 2008, 2012, and 2014. His career truly took flight in 2014 when he began to be featured on the cover of Time. He recognized that a turning point in his career would be when he met Samaya Hassan, who was a young 4-year-old who was separated from her family and was forced to be treated alone in the hospital. He wanted to give her and children like her a voice. He was published in a plethora of news stations, such as the New York Times, Al Jazeera, Times UK, Focus Germany, Xinhua, and more. He doesn't work for Hamas or Fatah because he wants to be as unbiased as possible, respecting the rules of journalism. Unfortunately, not everyone respects the fact that he tries to raise awareness for the Palestinian cause. Israel refuses to grant him a pass to leave the country. This is unfortunate because he likes to leave the country in order to not only expand his artistic abilities, but also because he likes to gauge how much support there is for the Palestinian cause, and also it keeps him hopeful for the future. Seeing how other countries are, he feels less intimidated as he returns to his own war-torn country, as he has hope for the future. He tries to keep his photos as PG as possible because he wants to educate his audience, not traumatize them with gory photos. Clearly, he valued his work as a photojournalism and was exposed to his career from a young age. Now let's continue with some of his photos. Some of his photos simply show the trauma that Palestinian people endure. This photo shows a man mourning the loss of children after they were brought to the hospital morgue due to an Israeli airstrike. It creates a feeling of somber in the audience since he is clearly mourning and the loss of children is depressing to anyone. This next photo shows a father mourning the loss of his son. It shows the true victims of the war effort and puts a face to the victims, to the number that is mentioned. This next photo shows a young child in the back trying to care for his wounded horse as he is surrounded by deceased animals. It not only characterizes childhood innocence since he is simply trying to focus on caring for his horse, but it also shows how the war effort is so normalized for the children. Nassar also tried to show how Palestinians withstanded all the trauma. This one photo shows how a woman is trying to cook for her family after a power outage. This man is trying to salvage as many of his goods as possible after his building was demolished. This next photo shows donkeys grazing in front of a destroyed building. Nassar, in a brighter note, also tries to show how Palestinians withstand and are resilient towards the change. They try to keep their children's childhoods as normal as possible. This photo shows some young teens participating in parkour in front of a demolished building. It shows how they are able to foster their talents and find joy during these trying times. This next photo shows a young girl in a cart in front of a cartoon wall. Not only does it show childhood, simply children being children, but it also shows the sense of community that Palestine has, since they were able to paint a wall in the background in order to bring joy to the passerbyers. Nassar also tries to show how Palestinians keep their traditions alive. This photo it was nominated for a Pulitzer Prize in 2015. It shows men praying in front of a toppled minaret. It shows how they still have hope and faith during these trying times and will continue to have faith for as long as they need to. Finally, this photo shows a man and his wife getting married in front of their tent home. It shows how Palestinians try to maintain their traditions and are grateful for the small things in life. These photos were all courtesy of Times, Lens Culture, and Pulitzer. Overall, Wissam clearly withstood a lot in his life. Today I discussed his inspiration for becoming a photojournalist, his experiences as a photojournalist, and explained some of his photos. Overall, he had a traumatizing childhood that he was able to flip into his future career. Clearly, it shows how anyone can bring a traumatic event and bring it into something beneficiary. That was my speech, and thank you for listening.